You have a handout already. What do you think about it? Do you think it would be useful?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes. Can you please explain how do we go about doing it?
That's right. That is what I am going to do. Having this list is one thing, and using this list, the contents of this list is another. How we use it? We use it in meditation. When we meditate, it is a very, very practical, important things to go through. Especially when people meditate, they have these hindrances, 5 hindrances. I think everybody knows 5 hindrances. Greed, hatred, sleepiness and drowsiness, restlessness and worry, and doubt. These 5 words sounds very simple, but when we meditate, these are the 5 mental states that makes meditation very difficult. Desire. First is desire, sensual desire. Desire for things we have seen, we have heard, smelled, tasted, touched and thought. Just imagine the amount of things we have seen. Can you calculate? Can you put a figure, number on the things that you have seen? I have seen things for 91 years. I can never list only things that I saw. So many things, in so many places, trillions upon trillions, I cannot count. And hearing, we have heard so many things, smelling and so on. They are all we know. That is why the Buddha said the eyes are a world. Our world is eyes. Because these eyes we have seen so many things in the world. They are here in our memory. Similarly, ears, nose, tongue, body and so on. They are all here. When we try to meditate, it's not very difficult to remember those things that we have seen. Right? Things that we have heard, smelled, tasted, touched and thought. Pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. So these things are already stored in our memory. And they, not one at a time, but thousands of them can come in one moment into our mind. How can we meditate? This is the very thing that people complain. I cannot meditate, mind is all over. And what is the remedy? What is the way to get rid of it? This is the way. this list. We see our eyes. I mentioned eyes, not only eyes, but the visual objects that we have seen. So the eyes and visual objects, all of them, whether they are past, future, present, internal, external, gross, subtle, low, high, far, near, all of them, all these 11 stages are impermanent. The things we have seen, although we have a memory, and the things we have seen with our eyes were impermanent. They were impermanent. We simply try to dwell upon what is already gone. Our parents, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, children, many people we have seen. Where are they now? Gone. Impermanent. Past, present, future, and internal, external, gross, subtle, low, high, far, near, all of them without any exception, were impermanent. And because of them, because of this scene, we suffer. What we memorize is either something very pleasant or very unpleasant. Neutral things we just ignore. But both pleasant and unpleasant we remember. When we remember the pleasant, greed can arise. When we remember the unpleasant, hatred can arise. And therefore at that time we have to think, this particular thing that I am trying to attach to, it was impermanent. And because of that I suffer. Because of that impermanent, trying to cling to the impermanent thing, I suffer. Because it did not stay as I wanted. It doesn't stay even now. It will not stay in future. So what we are trying to do in meditation is really trying to see things as they really are. I remember in our discourse that we discussed Mahasala-Yatanika Sutta, Buddha began saying that this liberation from suffering, only those who see and those who know and see will liberate from suffering. Only those who know and see. Jnanam passang yatha bhutam. Seeing, knowing and seeing exactly as they are, those are the people who liberate from suffering. So in meditation what we try to do, when these things happen, we try to, in our own mind, we have to remember, yes, this is how it is, impermanent, unsatisfactory, suffering. Then subject to altering. It is very important to remember everything arises and continues to exist while changing and then disappears. Arises, continues to exist while changing and disappears. One day Venerable Ananda talked to the Buddha himself, and he said to the Buddha, not that the Buddha did not know that, he said to the Buddha, Venerable Sir, I have heard from you that you were conceived in the mother's womb with full awareness, sati sampajanya. The discourse is called, in Majjhima Nikaya, discourse is called marvelous and wonderful discourse. Marvel and Acharya Abhuta Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, Acharya Abhuta Sutta. Marvelous and wonderful discourse. In that discourse, Venerable Ananda said, Venerable Sir, I have heard that you were born, conceived in the mother's womb with sati sampajanya, mindfulness and very clear comprehension. You were conceived. While you were in the mother's womb, you had sati sampajanya, mindfulness and clear comprehension. When you came out of mother's womb, you came out of mother's womb with sati sampajanya, mindfulness and clear comprehension. You walked after your birth with sati sampajanya, mindfulness and clear comprehension. You lived your entire life with mindfulness and clear comprehension. When Ananda said all these things, Buddha said finally, but Ananda, you have forgotten one more thing, that Tathagata also was fully having mindfulness and clear comprehension of the fact that everything is rising, exists with alteration and passing away. And while this is happening, he was mindfulness and clearly comprehending. So this is not that simple. Anything arising, Buddha clearly was mindful, and that particular thing is altering, he was fully comprehending, and when it passes away, he was fully comprehending. He was fully aware of rising, altering and passing away of everything. Clear comprehension. So, subject to altering, subject to fading away. When something is altering, it doesn't alter at the same strength, same power, same clarity, but its strength, power, clarity also is fading away before it disappears. Then, subject to diminishing, just like when there are buttons of the light, dim button, you push and slowly you can dim it, and then goes out, becomes dark. Like that, when something arises, during altering, it becomes weak, it becomes slowly fading away, it becomes slowly diminishing and disappearing. Subject to non-clinging. So when it arises and altering and passing away, all this happening, nothing in the world, nobody can stop it. Once it arose, it's altering, becoming weak, fading, diminishing and passing away. No power can stop that. Not even elephant can stop it. Not bulldozer can stop it. It continues that way. And then subject to cessation. So when it is happening like this, there is no on the way to get it stuck. Some nut is loose and then stuck, stop. Some another thing intervene and stops. Nothing can stop it. So once is something arose and water and passing away, nothing can stop. And subject to cessation. And when it goes away like that, ceases. That particular thing will never come back again for a change. Let me go back and have a little taste of it again. Cannot come back. Gone is gone. Then, subject to cessation, then conditioned. That is what is called sankhata, condition. And all these things are happening because of the conditions. They don't happen by themselves. There are other forces makes them accelerate this thing, make them happen. No other force can come to intervene and prevent it or block it. They also come and give more support. Go ahead, go. Give the moral support to encourage them to go. Then condition. Then dependently resin, not independently. Then, therefore, all eyes are not mine. We talk about the eyes. That goes with form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and so forth, and thought. Not mine. I am not them, nor are they myself. Now, when we meditate, if you remember this list, I remember this list in Pali. I think if you memorize them in Pali, anything, any disturbance happens. You see, you may say to yourself, aniccan, dukkhang, viparinama dhammang, kaya dhammang, vaya dhammang, viraga dhammang, nirodha dhammang, paticcasamupannang, netang mama neso amasya meso atta. Then there is another section which I did not include here because that is only for somebody is attaining enlightenment, would say, netang mama neso amasya atta, evaṁ etaṁ yatha bhutaṁ sammappඤñāya daṭṭhabbhaṁ sammappඤñāya disva rūpasmiन् nibbindati nibbindaṁ virajyati virāgā vimuchyati vimuttasmiन् vimuttanti ஞānaṁ hoti kīnā jāti usitam brahmacharyam kataṁ karaniyaṁ nāparaṁ itthattāya. Says. That is, evaṁ, you can see that in Anattalakkana Sutta. Anattalakkana Sutta. Evaṁ etaṁ yatha bhutaṁ sammappඤñāya daṭṭhabbhaṁ. Thus things should be seen with right wisdom, sammappඤñāya. Having seen with right wisdom, rūpasmiन् nibbindati. Nibbindati means become dispassionate. Nibbindaṁ virajyati, having dispassionate, one would not cling to it. Viraga vimuchyati, then one liberates, the mind liberates. Vimuttasmiन् ஞānaṁ hoti, then the mind knows that I am liberated. Then one would say, kīnā jāti, I have exhausted my birth. Jati means birth. Kīna means exhausted, no more. Usitam brahmacharyam, I have lived the holy life. What is the holy life? I have completed the Noble Eightfold Path. The holy life is, here Brahmacharya means Noble Eightfold Path. Noble Eightfold Path has several names. Middle Path, the Attangika Magga, Sota, Brahmacharya, all these names are for the Noble Eightfold Path. Usitam Brahma, Katang Karaniyam, I have done what was to be done. Naparang ittanta, there is nothing more for me to do. Now, I did not mention this part because it is too much for average people. At least this much you must remember. Therefore, the list I gave you with a very good purpose in my mind. My purpose is that meditators, if they are really serious, they must remember this. And whenever obstacles arise in the mind, and see that particular obstacle under this light. If you cannot remember it in Pali, at least remember in English, which may be easier. For me, Pali is easier because that has some texture in it. For me, when I say it in Pali, I feel the texture, the richness, juice, so to say, juicy Pali words. So when you translate it into any other language, it is just word, dry and that texture you cannot have. Just like when you say something in your mother tongue, you feel it. When you translate into another language and say, you say that, but yet that feeling you cannot explain. We cannot explain that feeling. Pali is like that for me. And therefore, many a time when any mental obstacle arises in the mind, I would recommend you to remember this list and see this particular thing is aniccham. Not only this one, athitanagata paccupannam ajjattanga bahiddhava olarikava sugamava heenava panitava yan dureva santigeva. 11 there. That 11 you can find in Anatta Lakkana Sutta. And the other 11, 13, 12, I got from various sutras. These are not my creation. These are I got from various sutras in Samyutta Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya, Khuddaka Nikaya and so on.
Bhante, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
With this list, I think the term maybe let go, Pali word, Patinisagga.
Oh yeah?
Why it is not here?
You see, very good. I tell you reason here. What is it? Subject to diminishing, subject to non-clinging. Patinisagga means abandoning. Non-clinging is the same. Actually, Patinisagga is not so commonly used as viraga. But the meaning is same, Patinisagga and viraga. Since viraga, these are synonymous. So when easier word is used, difficult word is understood.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so, if you are interested in really deep meditation practice, remember this list. This is not a joke, this is a very, very serious, practical list. Whenever mental obstacle arises, in order to get rid of that mental obstacle, we must understand these things and repeat. It is not very difficult to do, but with constant practice it becomes very, very simple.
So, Bhante, for example, like let's say I'm meditating and I hear a sound,
Yeah.
and then I would, as soon as it comes, and I'll go through all these 23.
Yes, that is very good example. You see, you must say, this sound is impermanent, this is unsatisfactory, this is subject to altering, this is subject to fading away. It is true, fading away. And this is diminishing, subject to non-clinging. The sound does not cling to anything. Except you record it somewhere. The record is not in your ear, in the brain. Record is somewhere mechanical, material. Until you play it, you don't know that. And therefore, subject to cessation, conditioned, this sound is conditioned. Dependently arisen, depending on air, the sound, the air waves, how air waves bring sound waves to hit the eardrum, and then in this case I use I. When you hear a sound, you can replace I with ear, and then all sounds are not mine, I am not them, they are not myself.
Bhante,
Yeah.
so you did the last 11 for the example for sound.
Yeah?
But what about the first, I'm sorry, the last 12, the first 11?
First 11 also good.
Also, okay.
Actually, I want you to remember all the 23. When he asked me about the sound he is hearing, at that moment, the present sound, you contemplate on the present sound.
Okay.
But sound in general, you can use all these 23. Any sound, any vision, any sight, what is we are seeing now and what we have seen in the past, what we may see in the future. This applies to everything, past, present and future. Whole list is given at the beginning. Past, future, present, internal, external, gross, subtle, low, high, far, near, all 11. No exception. This is 100% true. With regard to our body, if you have some physical aches and pains, remember this. This pain is anicchang, dukkhang, viparinama dhammang, khaya dhammang, vaya dhammang, virag dhammang, nirodha dhammang, paticca sampannang, netang mama neso amasya namesota. Headache, stomach ache, knee ache, back ache, neck ache, wherever ache is. Remember this. This ache is not permanent. This is not mine. I am not it. It happens depending on such and such. And it fades away. It is altering. When your mind is preoccupied with these thoughts, you forget the pain. Actually, when you finish the list, pain may not be there. Very powerful practice.
Bhante, what is low and high? 8 and 9?
8 and 9?
Yes, low and high. Could you explain that?
low with regard to the sound, low sound, high sound. We know that. With regard to pain, we know mild pain and acute pain. And whatever we experience, that has the degree, quality. I remember when you go to hospital with pain, the nurse or the doctor give us a number. Can you tell the pain number 1 to 10? Where are you? 5? 6? I mean, these are imaginary numbers. What they expect is to know the degree of pain. So everything has a color, very faint color may be low, a pitch very high, rich color may be high, like that. We have to use our own discretion to rate whatever we experience and put into these categories.
But if it is not in one sutta, this is very profound.
Yes, very profound.
Right. And
Very profound.
It probably will be very useful for a lot of people for meditation.
Yeah.
Because this is one of the difficulties a lot of people are having, but this would really help.
Yeah. That is why during this, from now till next year, we will not have the class. But this will work for your homework. So I want to give you homework to keep in mind during this time. When you come back next year, you all will be enlightened. Yeah.
In this list, actually one starts out, actually the end is like the eyes is not mine, and I'm not them, and so on and so forth, 21 through 23. But in the beginning, it's actually what one sees,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
actually, it's an object, it's a sensory object, and then eventually you bring it back to your own sense base.
Could you repeat the question? I did not hear the question.
In this list, when one goes like, I'm meditating because I saw something, okay, or I feel something, right? It could be I hear the sound, okay? So it's the sound I start out to take that as an object for meditation, correct? And then eventually coming back to my body and actually thinking of my ears.
Basically, it starts
With an outside.
I feel someone is feeling through eyes and ears, but at the 21, 22, 23 in the list, it says it's not mine. It becomes not mine.
Okay. So what is the question?
I think it's just a comment, Bhante. Yeah,
I'm just trying to clarify. It's a process. Because in the beginning, the sound is not mine. It's something else. It's outside. It's not mine. So eventually, from the sound, you bring it back to your own five aggregates.
Yeah.
Or 6 doors.
So they are all passing phenomena, not something static,
Right.
firmly, settled to say I, my, mine. This mind, our minds, is a process. Always acting, always doing something and never stops. In this, sound is another process that come into the mental process, and the mind notices as the sound is appearing and fading away. And there is no one in the mind to say, this is my sound. Although we say conventionally, my eye, my ear, and so forth, but these are conventional terms. Otherwise, these are all process. There is a process. 91 years ago came to this world. Then everybody got together, whoever got together gave a name. Gunaratana. And this process does not know where Gunaratana is. Can you see Gunaratana anywhere? It is just a name. And the process is, from that time, goes on doing all sort of things, and that process cannot possess any other process. Internal, external, far, near, low, high, and so forth. They also are processes. And there is an interaction between one process and another process. In that we have all sort of things come, talk and discussion, writing, this and that. All are processes for interaction. If we understand this, we will be very peaceful and happy. Okay. Now, you have any more question about this before we go to this written question?
I will ask one related to the same thing.
Uh-huh.
So how do we practice in such a way where our mind right now is automatically, like when I'm talking, it says, okay, I am talking. But how do we make it so that our mind automatically starts thinking it is just talking?
I cannot say how long, but through constant practice, this awareness arises in us. The moment that awareness arises in our mind is unpredictable, depending on how frequently we practice, how serious we are, depending on all other conditions, it will happen sooner or later. The time period nobody can give. Not even the Buddha could give anybody a time that you will come to realization on such and such a time. But in some places, Buddha said in Bodhiraja Kumara Sutta or Abhiraja Kumara Sutta, one of these two suttas, Buddha gave the minimum period. Satipatthana Sutta has given Mahasatipatthana 7 years to 7 days. In this, I have to check whether it is Bodhiraja or Abhiraja Kumara. In one of these two suttas, Buddha said, if somebody is healthy, intelligent, honest, energetic, practicing consistently, If such a person comes to me, I instruct him in the morning, evening he attains enlightenment. If I instruct him in the evening, next morning he will attain enlightenment, provided he has these conditions. He has to have a faith, determination, effort. He must be healthy, honest, and consistently practice. With these 5 conditions, if somebody comes to me, I instruct in the morning, he will attain enlightenment in the evening. If I instruct in the evening, he will attain enlightenment by next morning. That kind of guarantee Buddha has given. But even he did not say you will attain in 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. All depends on these 5 qualities, conditions. Mahasatipatthana Sutta doesn't give any other condition. Only condition Mahasatipatthana has given is Evang Bhavitang. Thus practice as it is given in the Discourse. In Mahasatipatthana Sutta, actually, I believe, and some scholars also believe, is a collection of Buddha's instructions on meditation. Collection. Not given all the long Mahasatipatthana Sutta at one time. Why we say collection? Because everything is repeated. What you say in the first section, at the end of each section, there is one statement. Samudaya Dhammanupassiva says about the body. Samudaya Dhammanupassiva kāyasmiṃ viharati, Vaya Dhammanupassiva kāyasmiṃ viharati, Samudaya Vaya Dhammanupassiva kāyasmiṃ viharati, Atti kāyoti vāpanassa sati paccupatthita hoti, Yāvadeva ñānamattāya patisatimattāya anisthitoca viharati naca kinchu loke upadiyati. These 8 statements he made at the end of each section. Vedana-anupassana, Chitta-anupassana and Dhamma-anupassana. All these 4 anupassanas, he mentioned the same thing. We say that if one practices only one of them, he attains full enlightenment. One of them. Then why does he have to practice the second, third, fourth? Once he enlightened. So first one itself is enough to attain full enlightenment. Somebody, if he cannot do that, some people are not so sharp. They practice mindfulness of the body. Actually, the first part of the mindfulness of the body is the mindfulness of breathing. If the person is not sharp enough to attain enlightenment by practicing mindfulness of breathing, then the person can go to the next section, mindfulness of the postures. At the end of the postures also he says the same thing. Or go to mindfulness of clear comprehension, or mindfulness of the 32 parts of the body, mindfulness of 4 elements, mindfulness of 9 symmetry, stages of that body. So first section is divided into 6 subdivisions. Each of them is enough for one to attain full enlightenment.
Can you do a mix?
Huh?
Can you mix it's better to just pick one and stay on the path with that one and not mix. But what if you're doing mindfulness of the breath and then you have a strong emotion, anger coming in your focus?
Oh, sure, you can.
So you can mix it, and it doesn't.
You can mix it.
Okay.
You can mix it. If one does not work, why you want to hang on that? Go to one that works for you. So the choice is given there in the discourse. I think 21 choices. So, anyway, to answer your question, all depends on the person's own.
I was just asking about how we practice so that our mind actually starts seeing the things without interpreting as there is somebody else seeing it. So is it just to constantly remind ourselves that okay, it's a sound, that when there is seeing, there is no seer?
Right. Yeah, when you practice, you have to remember not to mix it up with other things. Like some other practices. Let me say, you start practicing mindfulness of breathing, and all of a sudden you remember, why not I do some chanting? Why not I go and see some movie? Why not I go and do some picnic? So you mix up all these things. If you want to practice this, you practice this while you are walking, talking, sleeping, and all the time. Keep practicing it. And also, we have to practice it without any prejudice. Prejudice means my, he, she, it, they, and this kind of divisions, without any divisions. You see the universal nature. In all these things we see universal nature. Exactly like a scientist. Scientist only wants to see the universal characteristic of anything they examine. And it must be, the results must be the same for everybody. Whether you do the experiment, I do the experiment, you do the experiment, results must be the same. This practice is like that. Therefore, in the first place, we have to remember, I want to see this exactly as it is. Whenever we say the word see things exactly as they are, we always must remember things have their own intrinsic nature. What is the intrinsic nature of anything? Changing. We must first, this is the first premises, first principle of their Buddhist meditation. First principle is that things are always changing. That we experience, that we can experiment, that we can, that is everywhere. We begin our practice with these premises. Never to think that there will be, perhaps such and such must be permanent. There is no such thing. Okay? Any other question? No. So let me answer these questions. You know, our class period is already over, but now okay, this is a question which is I never thought of this question. Question is, what is memory according to Buddhism? What is the memory? Memory is Sati, we call Sati in Pali. When the mind pays attention to something, very keen attention. The memory depends on the attention. So the Buddha said, Manasikara sambhava sabbhe dhamma. Manasikara sambhava sabbhe dhamma. Depending on attention. Anything can arise depending on attention. If the attention is, not very keen, sharp, then the memory will not be very sharp. So, when we pay attention to something, I think in the brain there is a place where that particular object we paid attention to very keenly will leave the some mental imprint, image.
Bits and bytes.
Huh?
Like megabytes.
Yes. And that is all that is there. And if you repeat it again and again, that imprint becomes strong. If the mind is clearer, that becomes even stronger. Clearer means without greed, hatred, delusion, confusion, and worry, and fear, tension, anxiety, and all these other things, hindrances and so forth. All these things come, you tend to forget whatever you have put in the brain. So memory is that image or imprint that we put in the brain and keep repeating it. Then you memorize. Otherwise, even if we learn something, the imprint is there, but it will become weak over a period of time. It will be fading. What is this list? You can see here. What is subject to altering, fading away, diminishing, and non-clinging, and so forth. All this happen. And the memory also is subject to these things. And memory is not something permanent. However, with meditation, memory can become strong. Memory can become strong.
Can you recall the memories that you forgot after meditation?
Some memories, yes.
You can recall them although you forgot.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Very interesting. That is how I got my memory.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I lost my memory completely. Completely wiped out like, whiteboard. Nothing on my memory. All the languages I studied, alphabet, everything completely forgot. Then I started meditating on my own. Then slowly. That is why all my life I spent on meditation. That is why I very, very strongly, firmly talk about meditation. From my own personal experience.
How old were you, Bhante?
Eh?
How old were you?
I was 20. I had photographic memory. But I lost everything when I was 20. Because I was young and foolish. Did chanting for one whole week. Without sleeping, drinking, eating and so forth. Voice was good those days. And wanted to chant very loudly. Yeah.
Bhante, was that photographic memory for the things you have seen in a page, or was it like in this class, if you had the photographic memory, you can remember from 3 to 4 everything?
Everything. Everything. If I came to this room and look at the room and went away, tomorrow you ask me who were in the class, where they sit, what they were wearing, whether they were wearing glasses and so, all was here. Photograph. But at the age of 20, when I lost everything, After that, through meditation, I slowly, now I cannot have that kind of memory. Even that after recovering, I never got that kind of photographic memory. I was able to, like anybody else, repeat. Even now, if you recite a Pali stanza 3 times, I remember it. Even now. Because this is this very strange thing. That is why I always encourage people to meditate. Okay. Using metta, what is the best way to refuse a request by family members? Okay. Using metta, what is the best way to refuse a request by a family member? That depends on the request. If the person requests something harmful, with all your metta you reject it, refuse it.
Is it harmful to me or the person?
To anybody. To anybody. If a family member requests you to give a gun, refuse it. Request you to give some poison, refuse it, don't give, out of metta. If something is not harmful, beneficial to that person, then if it is within your means, with metta you give. If it is, even if you have full metta, if somebody asks something that is beyond your means, you cannot give.
But you could have a situation, but the person that's asking doesn't know it, doesn't think it's wrong, doesn't think it's bad for that person.
That is why the one who knows that it is bad should not give it to him. For I remember when I was in Washington, I think I mentioned this, there was a little child who grew up almost like my child, every day his father brought the child to the temple, his American child. And when this child was 4 or 5 years old, he asked the father a gun, toy gun. Then father said, no, we don't use guns. Then this child began to cry, so and so, my friend, such and such a friend has gun. Why don't I have? Father said, I don't think Bhante Ji will approve it. He stopped asking. He stopped asking. Because he loves me so much, when I did not approve it, he did not want to have it. So, the child does not know what gun represents. It is not the toy, but the gun, the concept of gun, represents violence. That is what the father refused to give. Not this toy gun can kill anybody, but from the childhood, if you train the mind to use a gun, that toy gun will on one day be a real gun. And therefore, out of compassion and metta from childhood, refused to give harmful thing. Okay? Next question. Perception is so powerful, why it is not a link of its own in the teachings of dependent origination? Very good. Perception is called sanya. Sanya. Sanya comes under nama rupa. Nama rupa, sanya is included. Perception is included. You know nama rupa? Mentality and materiality. What is mentality? Phassa, Vedana, Sanya, Chetana, Manasikara. These five are called mentality. In the dependent origination, Vijnana Paccaya Namarupam. Namarupam. Mentality and materiality. Materiality is earth, water, air, fire, the body made up of four elements. Mentality is phassa, contact, feeling, perception, thoughts, attention. These five. Therefore, perception is included in the dependent origination. Thus, stream winning, the only way to have right view, actually stream enterer is the only one who has a firm, unshakable, unwavering right view. Until such time, the view can be shaky. There is a story that one day Buddha gave a sermon on non-self. So, then there was a man who listened to the sermon and attained the stream entry. Went home that night, in the middle of the night, he heard somebody knocking on the door. He got up and opened. It was the Buddha himself. So he said, "Venerable sir, please come in." He arranged the seat and sat down. Then invited him to sit down. He sat down. Then after sitting down, he asked, "Venerable sir, what can I do for you?" He said, this apparent Buddha, "Well, during my sermon today, I emphasized that there is no self. But in my second thought later on, I found something like salt." Then this man said, Get out, you are Mara. You are not the Buddha. That came as a Buddha, a Mara, to change his mind. So when he saw even the Buddha, he did not believe him, because Buddha would never say something wavering, wishy-washy statement he never makes. And therefore real right view is established. That is why stream enterer is called Ditthi-Patta. Stream enterer's Pali name is Ditthi-Patta, one who attained to the vision. Next question. Should we select one or two ways of understanding right view based on M9 or Majjhima Nikaya 9 Sutta and stick with that? Actually, if you select one, actually there are 16 ways given in the Discourse. If you take even one of the 16 gives you full, complete right understanding. Only one. So you select whichever you want to know, but know it fully, well, completely.
But out of the 16, the first one is mundane, right?
Mundane.
So even that one, I guess it doesn't matter if it's mundane or supramundane.
Even mundane right understanding will not stay mundane as you keep repeating it over and over again. Then something will click in your mind. Then you put into the supramundane state. What will click is in mundane right view, abstaining from killing and so on, these 10 unwholesome things. So you think, why should I abstain from killing? You think. Because killing appears in the mind because of greed and ignorance. So long as I have greed and ignorance, I am not liberated. I am in suffering. And therefore, I should get rid of greed and ignorance. What is the greed? Purno bhavika nandi raga sagata tatra tatra vinandini. Delight here, attached to this. Delight there, attached to this. Tatra tatra vinandini. The word Nandini is delighting. Tatra tatra, here and there, greater and delight. If I delight here and there, can I have it? I cannot. Then what will happen to me? I will end up in suffering, frustration. Why is that? Because I am ignorant. Ignorance of danger. Ignorance here means danger of greed. And then we try to get rid of that danger. What is the danger of greed? It is insatiable. It cannot be satisfied. And that is the danger of greed. So long as I cannot satisfy my greed, I always feel something missing. Something missing. Something, I don't know what, something missing. This inner, urge for trying to find the missing thing makes us unhappy. and then you decide to let it go. That is how it works to higher level. The Buddha's...
Is there something in the back?
Huh?
Bhante, is there something on the back side? Oh.
Same question? No, this question has both sides. Okay. Buddha said, come and see, to understand ourselves. Then it has Sinhalese, Mithya Drishteta Karunu Dahayai in Ekaktama Upapatika Upanati Bhava. එවැනි කරුණක් හරියටම නොදැන අප කොහොමද සම්මා දෘෂ්ටියට පත්වන්නේ? Okay, one of the 10 wrong views is not believing in the existence of spontaneous birth without parents. And without knowing that, how can we have right view? Okay?
That's the question.
That's the question. Without knowing that, how can we have right view?
So, can you tell me, Bhante, or tell us the spontaneous birth is like someone born without any parents?
Yes.
I don't know if it's a human being or any being.
Divine being.
Divine
being.
And also inhale.
Hmm?
I think when
Lower realm.
is also
Lower realm, yes. Hellish realms. And ghost, goblins, divine beings. And they are spontaneously born without parents. Now, however, nobody has seen any of them. Nobody has seen. But the fact that not seeing something does not mean that it does not exist. It is only us who don't know. We don't know everything. We know our knowledge is very, very limited. And with this limited knowledge, we cannot make a universal statement. 100% positive, 100% negative. Cannot make. So we suspend our judgment and keep looking for it and keep purifying the mind. When the mind is purified, one day we will find the solution. Until then, follow Kalama Sutta. What the Kalama Sutta says,
don't believe in what some authority says.
No, those are the things, but at the end there's a conclusion. Buddha did not give any sermon leaving loose ends. He tied all the loose ends together and made the sermon complete. Kalama Sutta, many people use those and do not 10 things. Don't do this, don't do this. At the end he said something to do, but that is the thing that people don't say. In order to get rid of, anything that, get away with any wrong thing, they say Buddha, even the Buddha said don't believe. But you should ask that person, what else did he say in the discourse? he gave 4 solaces. That is, if there is no rebirth, if there is no rebirth, you do very, very wholesome, wonderful, marvelous things with a pure, clean heart, without greed, hatred and delusion. Practice metta. Then you will be very happy in this life. If there is no rebirth, you will be very happy. Also, when you practice metta, nobody will punish you. When you practice metta, anybody punishes you? Putting you in jail for practicing metta? There again you will be happy. If there is rebirth, you will be reborn in a happy place. If you avoid hatred, hatred will not affect you. You practice metta and you avoid hatred, anger. So all the dangers that is caused by anger will not come to you. So in this very life, you experience the benefit of wholesome thing. On the other hand, if you do something unwholesome, with greed, hatred and delusion, you suffer here. Even if there is no rebirth. But if there is rebirth, you will suffer there again. And therefore, to answer this question, whether we see this spontaneous birth or not, the tradition has brought down the possibility of being existing somewhere. We don't know all about the universe, that we must admit. We don't know all about what will happen to us, that we have to admit. And therefore we accept things that there are things that we don't know, and we know very little, and therefore until we attain full perfect enlightenment, we continue practicing.
So until that time, do we have wrong view, or by simply accepting it, do we get into right view?
Okay, you begin with this. You begin with trust. Well, until I realize this, I don't believe in it. Okay? But I cannot reject it because I don't know. And therefore what I have to do is to keep cleaning my mind. Cleaning. Nothing wrong in that. So we keep cleaning the mind. Do wonderful things. Our view may not be perfectly clear. We may not have the perfect right view. So until then we practice it. You cannot say that you have wrong view, Only thing is that you don't have right view.
And the danger of the wrong view is that's the very reason to be born on the lower realms.
Right.
So we are very afraid.
That is why you don't come to a conclusion that there is no such thing. Then that will bring you to lower realms.
To see it.
By not coming to the conclusion, you will not go to the wrong. You can go to heaven. You can go to heaven. Heaven gate will not close for you for not concluding that there is no next life. Heaven doors will be open for you if you do good things without knowing whether there is a next world or not. This is right view, wrong view. Without knowing that, you keep practicing good things, then heaven doors will keep open for you. Only all the doors will be closed only if you conclude that no. That is dangerous. Okay. Next question is, at the time of the Buddha, at the time of death, three things get transferred: consciousness, craving, and karma. Consciousness rises and form, fade, pass away. Okay, craving rises and passes away. Karma set accounted. No, accumulated, okay. Karma get accumulated, okay. Karma get accumulated. And then, but there is no soul. Does this karmic energy pass to the next life? Okay. Okay. Consciousness rises and passes away. Craving rises and passes away. Karma gets accumulated. But there is no soul. Does this karmic energy pass to the next life? Okay. Karmic energy. The question is, does this karmic energy pass to the next life? Answer is yes. It passes to the next life, in spite of the fact that there is no soul. I think I mentioned in the past also several times, soul can be the stumbling block to make any progress. Because if there is a soul, there is, according to definition, I'm not trying to talk about soul because it is very complicated thing. I simply, in order just to explain, I use this, I say something. But otherwise it is very complicated thing. According to people who believe in soul, according to them, that is not our belief. According to them, soul is something permanent. Something permanent. Never change. Eternal, immutable, everlasting something. The Buddha's teaching is completely different. Everything is impermanent, changing, altering, always changing. If that is so, that permanent something will not help us to take rebirth. On the other hand, if there is something permanent, a thief in this life will be thief next life also. Woman in this life will be woman in the next life again. Man in this life will be man in this and the next life. So if there is soul. And next thing is, if there is permanent eternal self, you cannot learn anything because that is stuck. It is stuck. If somebody is born stupid, I mean foolish, not stupid, foolish. Nobody is born with great knowledge. Knowledge is something we acquire. When we are born, we don't have any knowledge. Thanks to the mother and father, we learn everything. And this learning is possible only if there is everything is changing. If it is something never change, no matter how much parents try to teach us, we never learn. We never learn. And therefore, taking rebirth also is possible in this changing process. In this changing process. So, does this karmic energy pass to the next life if there is no soul? Yes. Karmic energy cannot pass into the next life if there is soul. Dear Bhante, is it accurate to say that dependent origination and karma twist together like a rope? Yes, very true. I think that short answer will cover the whole entire meaning. What would be the Buddha's response on how to respond to global climate change? If Buddha were to come here today and seeing this global change, Buddha would say, "This is what I told you."
I told you so.
I told you this. You people never listen to me. What did he tell us? He tell us, don't be greedy. Don't be ignorant. Don't be full of hatred. Greed, hatred and delusion pollute the world. We in the past we used to walk. Now nobody likes to walk. So many things are, transport is created. And it's very comfortable. Even from 1 kilometer close to the house there is a shopping mall, we drive. In the past 10 miles we walk to a grocery, not grocery shop like today, to buy something. And when we create so many machines, the factories create so much pollution, and the vehicles burning gas, their emissions create all kind of mechanical things, add more and more things to the air. Why? Because of our greed. we make bombs. Does one bomb bring this much peace? No. So many people killed. Every bomb produced so much toxic material into the air. Airplanes. So many airplanes. Very convenient. So our greed, no bounds, no limit. Today we have this computer. I think this is about 5-6 years old. Now go to the market, you can see the better one. So I want to get rid of this and get better. And these people who produce this have to use those material and bring more and more toxic to the air. We cut down trees. One big tree, I heard, is enough. One big tree produces enough oxygen for 8 people to live. One tree. Day before yesterday, last Monday, we cut down one tree which was enough, I think, maybe for 10 people to live. Oxygen that produced. It might have taken 100 years to grow. In 2 hours, all down. Why? Because of our greed, desire. And so forth, land, animals lose their habitats. Fish, water is polluted. In methane gas, these farm animals, cattle, hogs and chickens and so forth, they produce so much toxic material discharged from their body. All add to this earth, water. Our greed and hatred and delusion. So, if Buddha were to come today and said, you see, you fools, 2,600 years ago I told you this. Don't be too much greedy. You destroy the world and destroy yourself. That is what Buddha would say if he came today. Okay? Climate change. Okay. Meditation. Many times when meditating I found it difficult to stop my thinking on what is going on in my life or on day-to-day events. Any recommendations to improve my meditation? Very good. Surely you can have countless things going on in your mind, especially all kind of things. I think best thing to make meditation easy is give you yourself a special treat. This is the time, my time. This is my time. I know I have husbands, wives, children, jobs and shopping, telephone call, email, this and that I have. But they will not disappear if I spend 1 hour for myself. This hour is mine. So you have to tell yourself, I know these things are here in my house, I have responsibility, I have obligations, I have commitments, all right, but none of them will disappear completely. House will go into chaos if I spend 1 hour for myself. I rather get up from this practice with a more clear state of mind, with peaceful state of mind, so that I can handle all these things without stress. That kind of commitment you have to have. It is not that difficult to have a commitment. But most of the people don't make the commitment, they simply, I want to meditate. Children are playing and some noise is there, this thing, I have to go to grocery shop, I have to this. All these things also are in the mind. It is true that they are there, but also remember, even if you don't have any commitment, when you sit to meditate, if you want to meditate for 1 hour, 45 minutes, you have a fight, a struggle. Then last 15 minutes, you have a wonderful meditation. Look for that last 15 minutes. First 45 minutes, you have this turmoil going on in the mind. Each time when the turmoil arises, repeat the mantra I gave you today. Aniccan dukkhaṃ viparināma dhammam khaya dhammam vaya dhammam viraga dhammam nirodha dhammam patisampannam. And so forth. All these thoughts are impermanent, they are unsatisfactory, and they are fading away and so forth. Remember this. As I said at the beginning, this is a very serious list. Very serious list, very important list to remember and put into practice every time you practice metta meditation and death awareness meditation, mindfulness meditation, concentration meditation and so forth. You can incorporate this list into any meditation. And remember this list. Remember them to bring into your meditation as soon as you sat. When a thought comes, go to the list. When memory comes, go to the list, and so forth. You will be able to use it very profitably, meaningfully. Okay, friends, this is last class for 2018. Next class will be 2019.